If you ask most of us to describe the New York Jets defensive philosophy scheme under head coach Robert Saleh, you would say 4-3, cover three, Seattle, cover three, most of us, right? However, the New York Jets were in cover three in only 28% of their defensive looks last season. So, what the heck kind of defense do we run here? Well, it's easier if we go to the whiteboard. And quick shout out to the great football minds of Brett Coleman, Connor Hughes, and the ladies and gentlemen of Jet X Factor, all sources that inform the homework done on this video. We're going to take a look at the three different defensive looks that the Jets ran. These three looks composed about 80% of the Jets' defensive snaps last year. All very similar guiding principles, but different nuances and different situations that the Jets used them in. And first, let's take a look at the cover three, which was the most prevalent at 28% of the snaps. And if we see there's four different colors here, four different types of assignment groups, I guess you could say. And let's start with the four guys up front because this is the simplest component of the defense. And this does not change much depending on what look we're going with here. And to quote defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton, he says, "We don't catch blocks, we attack." Right? The goal of the four down linemen for the New York Jets, it's not that old like with Rex Ryan, where they're grabbing on and they're peeking in the backfield and they're waiting to make a decision. Their job is to obliterate the human being in front of them and then find the ball after that. So that's why they have to rotate as heavily as they do, because these dudes play like somebody pissed in their Cheerios every single snap, and you love to see it. So yeah, there'll be some twists and stunts and all that, but essentially they're getting after the quarterback. They have edge setting responsibilities in the run, but it's not too complicated. You're not seeing like little defensive tackles dropping back as robbers or even defensive ends leaking out into the flattened zone. They have their hand in the dirt and they're getting after it. And that's pretty much going to be the same in all three of the looks that we have here today. Then in this cover here, the Jets most run off, and you typically have three deep coverage defenders. So if it's true pure cover three, you'd have both of your corners in this deep 1/3 zone, right? With your deep safety here. And then this linebacker in like another hook zone or flat zone here. So everybody would be in zone if it was pure cover three. But what the Jets run and what most teams who run variations of cover three in the modern NFL, the post tight ends can now freaking catch, and that's a problem era, is that they typically go with man coverage on the side with less eligible receivers. So on this side, we have one eligible over here to the strong side of the screen. So you have a man assignment with the linebacker on the running back, and then essentially a man assignment with the corner. So that's that from your coverage perspective there. Then we have four players, these players in blue, who have both assignments in the run fit and in some sort of coverage to some extent. So we covered this linebacker on the right hand side is in coverage with the running back. And then we have our Mike linebacker, usually CJ Mosley. He's usually just getting depth and dropping into a like a hook zone here. He's cutting off slants and little hitch routes. And in some cases, if the tight end goes with him, he has to carry him up to the seam. But he's just getting depth and occupying space in the middle of the field. And then if the quarterback takes off, he's got to come down and get him as well. And then you have this diamond shape here is either your Sam linebacker, Jamian Sherwood, Quan Alexander, or Michael Carter, depending on if you're a 4-3, 4-2-5. But the assignments typically don't change a ton. You're out here in a curl flat most of the time in cover three, and this nickel corner, when it is a nickel corner, also has to be in the run fit. So Michael Carter is a really important component of the Jets run defense as well. So there's the cover three. You have essentially man coverage on one side with a heavy zone to the side with more eligible receivers. You have a one safety that's going deep. Then you have another safety that's here that starts as a high safety, but they often come down to what is called a buzz in cover three. In cover one, it's called robber. But essentially, they're coming down here and being another zone defender, whether it's be curling all the way out into the flat to stop these like short yak intended throws, or coming in and replacing CJ Mosley as he's getting depth down the field. Depending on the down and distance, honestly, when you rewatch the games, whether it was like Jordan Whitehead, sometimes he would just stand there flat-footed and just wait for the play to kind of come to him because he was already at depth. But there is the basics of the cover three: one deep safety, man coverage to the strong side, heavy zone to the weak side, and then you have one uh, safety who's coming down as like a buzz player who's just getting in there and being an extra defender in that underneath four to be in the run fit and wall off these crossers and these slants and these intermediate routes. And you get your four dogs just coming home per usual. All right. Now, let's take a look at the second most prevalent defense that the New York Jets ran, and that was the cover one. And actually, the shift to cover one really was one of the hallmarks of the Jets turning this defense around. Remember, the beginning of the year, they could not get off the field, and they made two pretty big changes. Number one, play Bryce Huff because no one can block him. But number two, dude, you have these alien corners. Get them more press man reps in cover one, and they did that. So cover one differs from cover three in three key areas. Number one, it's called much more often when you are in 4-2-5. So this is Michael Carter territory, not Quan Alexander, Jamie and Sherwood territory. Number two, you have all five eligible receivers are have a man assignment to them. So man, 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 right? Then you also have an alignment that's a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. So these press cover reps. The New York Jets kind of realized Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, they can get in people's grill and they can hang. So let's do some more of that. Now, you're going to have almost always, you're going to have all three corners and one linebacker in man, as you see here. So here's one linebacker, your two outside corners, and then your nickel corner are in man. Almost always that's the case with the New York Jets. Then you also still have your one deep safety. Okay. And then really the only variables here is you have two remaining players, a linebacker and a safety. One of them is going to be in man, typically on whatever tight end or running back or eligible pass catcher is left. And then the other player is going to be an unassigned player that can kind of do all sorts of funky stuff depending on what you need. So in this case, let's say the safety is down here on this, whatever tight end, slot receiver, and man, then your unassigned defender, right? They can blitz. They can drop into a middle hook. They can come out into a curl flat to help with, screens and whatever else might be going on over there. So it kind of gives you some flexibility, a little bit of a floater, which you kind of had in cover three too, with the buzz defender being the safety. But the main difference here is all five eligibles are locked up in man, whereas in cover three, it was anywhere from 1 to 3 players kind of getting a man look, really. And in this one, you're trusting your corners, man. You're trusting your corners. Love to see it. Finally, and that was 26% of the time the New York Jets were in cover one. Finally, the third most frequent look we saw from the New York Jets is this quarters defense, which is the most simple. You have your 4 down linemen, and then you have 7 players who have just a zone assignment. And it kind of looks like a Tampa 2, where you have that corner safety combination helping with those deep outside throws. So the Jets ran this a lot on 3rd and long, or when they had a lead. It's a little bit of a bend, but don't breaky style of defense. And the pros are that it's hard to mess up your assignment because you just got to be in your spot. But then the cons are it's really kind of difficult to disguise. It's a very vanilla defense, the quarters defense. So there it is. Those are the 3 main types of defenses that the New York Jets run. And if we just take a look at a recap, pretty much with all of these, there's 3 guiding principles, in my opinion. Number 1, you create pressure without blitzing, which the Jets did as well as anybody in the NFL last year. Number 2, you trust your corners, man. Those deep third assignments or those man assignments, especially with the shaky safety play that the Jets have, those corners are trusted as much as any corners in the NFL by their coaching staff. And then you use your 4 underneath defenders, your whatever, whether it be 3 linebackers and a safety, or 2 linebackers and a nickel corner and 2 safeties to help in run support and stop those screens and crossers. And you can see the resource allocation. The Jets are pretty much saying those other four guys, those linebackers and those safeties are just going to have to be good enough. And the catalysts of this defense are the four dudes with their hand in the dirt and those corners that really make it go. Some of the drawbacks to the vulnerabilities of this defense, in my opinion, is the tendency to sometimes get beat by mobile quarterbacks and dynamic tight ends, which we've kind of seen come true. So there it is. Hopefully you got a little bit of a better understanding of the defensive philosophy of the New York Jets, and we'll talk all soon.